Hey there, you, me, and DC fans, and welcome if you're new. I am the stepson of Krypton, and today we continue our journey through Absolute Superman. This time, issue number 11. Things are starting to heat up between Superman, Brainiac, and Ra's al Ghul. Guys, I don't want to waste a whole lot of time. Let's go ahead and get on into the video. All right, guys. So this issue, we're back on Krypton as it starts, and we hear these charges being levied against the L's for ambition, dissent, and illegal use of science, which they are found guilty of all charges by a simulated jury of their peers. Like we're not too far off from that. And the sentence is to hang above Candor for 100 years. Now, from the look of it, they just seem to be wrapped up. I don't know that they actually mean to hang them for 100 years. I think they're just going to be hanging up there, kind of wrapped up for 100 years. But we don't know exactly. Not that the planet's got that long. Meanwhile, Cal is sentenced to 20 years in the Phantom Zone orphanage for the crime of being an orphan. Not so sure about that one. The officers try to take Cal away, and he pleads with them that there is still time to save the people of Krypton before it dies. And just then, we see Cal go all supernova on him, and we hear him, "Tell me you're making progress." It turns out that we are actually in Greenland at the Lazarus Corp, Brainiac and Raish. It turns out that the jury wasn't the only thing that was simulated, as they're putting Cal through these series of trials over and over 575 times to be exact. Director Al Ghul tells Brainiac that if he fails him again, there will be repercussions. Now, it's a funny thing to think about to hear that, Brainiac almost sounding afraid of somebody and somebody able to kind of control Brainiac like that. So Roz tells Brainiac that he wants his son delivered to him and he wants him to see the truth, that he is the truth. He is the way to the salvation of this planet. He doesn't just want a lobotomized zombie. Interestingly, though, we see Talia with the father box, which Brainiac also seems to be scared of. As the Brainiacs, let's say the plural there, all continue to try and break Cal, we start to see some of the other Brainiacs are speaking out of turn and earning themselves their demerits, just like they were back in school. Brainiac seems confused by Superman's resolve and comments how, he's seen Superman's whole sad life, and he makes reference to that. Brainiac himself has been on this planet since 1938. And I think it's kind of funny how they threw that little nod in there. Obviously, hopefully, everybody watching knows that Action Comics #1, the first appearance of Superman, released in June of 1938. But if you didn't, you do now. Again, we see Cal going supernova on Krypton. Again, he's trying to get to that number 3000 that Brainiac had calculated it was going to take him to earlier. But just then, we see Lois taking a boot to the face by Primus, who is making an hourly effort to come and kick the shit out of her and making sure not to leave Jimmy out of the fun. Jimmy is told by Talia that Raish is the only thing that stands between their survival and apocalypse, which for me kind of makes me think he's talking about Darkseid. It's not spelled the normal way the apocalypse, Darkseid's planet is, but the fact that she says between them and apocalypse, and we know all of these things are connected with Darkseid, got to make you wonder a little bit. And Raish believes that the world would benefit from a few less billion people and wants to have that charge led by Superman. Jimmy and Lois, of course, believe that Talia is unaware of the strength Superman possesses, and she's quick to remind them that yet neither of them are aware of the power of the father box. If you remember, we saw her holding it just a little earlier. However, Raish's plan to complete Superman's training or brainwashing, whatever you want to call it, is to have the final act is to have him kill Jimmy and Lois. As phase 4 of this torture slash brainwashing begins, we see Superman wake up and he breaks out of his restraints, to which Brainiac orders more kryptonite restraint. Superman, he grabs Brainiac, and Brainiac tells Superman that he has killed millions of people on other worlds and that he too, as in Superman, will also before everything is said and done. No, not billions, just him. Superman says. But before Cal kills him, he drops him, takes to the air, saying that this is not who he is. And it would seem his drive and hopefulness is beginning to win over some of the other Brainiacs. Just then, Cal screams out in pain, "End program." Brainiac is now pissed, and he demands his minions check the program. Cal should have killed Brainiac without a second thought. Brainiac is beginning to kind of lose it over Cal's strength. He's not understanding why he is not giving in to all of these different scenarios they're putting him through. And as the other Brainiacs are being yelled at by Brainiac 1, he wonders why the soul crystals are active. And it would seem there's a saboteur in their ranks, as one of them says, "We deserve liberty." But who? All of them volunteer that they are the ones that said it. It is now day 14, and the Brainiac continues to be puzzled by Superman's resilience and refusal to progress to the next phase. And it's funny, like 500 hours of watching Brainiac saw through the clones, and rather than kill Brainiac 1, he secretly is communicating with the other clones, speaking so softly that it's almost on a subconscious level. Now, the interesting thing I will say about the Absolute Superman series is we see this day 14 here, and we've seen it multiple times before. We saw it in the beginning of the series when Kal was coming to Earth. They were going through all the how many days it had been. When Brainiac was first kind of becoming the number one Brainiac, he was going through and they were showing all the different days 263 day, 20,000. So it's kind of interesting they're keeping with that theme. So now we kind of go to the exterior of the building and we're seeing this helicopter land. And it's none other than General Lane, fresh from his trip from Kondak. And it turns out that he's there to break his daughter out, as when he takes off one of his legs, he's got a gun in there. So, making quick work of the peacemakers in the front of the building, General Lane quickly finds his daughter, arms her, and makes a plan to get out, which may or may not include Jimmy being a human shield. He does kind of refer to himself as one. But Lois points out that they need to rescue one other person, Superman. We then we make a drastic change to the Kent farm, and the peacemakers there are attacking Jonathan. They tell Cal to run, and I say they, the Kents, tell Cal to run, and we see him take to the sky, ready to go supernova. So there he's kind of kneeling on the ground. He had laid waste to all of the peacemakers in the vicinity, and Rafe seems so pleased with his son. But his joy doesn't last very long before his heart is ripped from his chest by Cal. And as a boom tube opens up, we see Primus come through, telling Superman the Omega Men are there to save him. And I think we already know this is another test, but we see Soul surround Primus's neck, and the Kents ask if he's going to kill her. Back in the real world, however, we see a laser blast burst through what looks to be Brainiac 1, but it could just be another Brainiac. It does look like Brainiac 1, though. And as Lois and Jimmy run to Superman, getting ready to rip the spikes that are in his head, they don't have any other choice. General Lane calls out to his daughter. Just then, we see General Lane, and it looks like he's got a knife in his head, and Primus comes in and commands the peacemakers to get the prisoners back in their cells. Jimmy lays out one of the Brainiacs and calls for Cal to wake up. Wake up, Cal, desperately trying to wake him up. They need his help. Back in the Matrix, so to speak, we see Cal and the Kens, and Jonathan tells Cal to get out of there and kill them all, as we see this kind of green explosion happening in the real world. We see Cal grab Brainiac, and we see Soul get released. And as Lois is there holding her dearly departed father, General Lane, Cal makes the choice on if he's going to kill Brainiac or not. And we see a fist go right through with a crunch. With Soul back online, it makes the choice to get out of there, and we see this massive explosion. It looks like the entire facility has gone up in flames slash the red misty stuff that makes up Soul and his cape. And we see that the next issue is the Battle of Kansas. And that is where the issue ends. All right, guys. Like I said, Definitely getting good. We're seeing this relationship between Superman with Brainiac and Raish kind of build. We're getting more and more of the story of what's going on with Lois. For me, I will say this is definitely my favorite of the Absolute series. I know Mantis is and a lot of you are more of the Batman fan, which don't get me wrong, Absolute Batman is very good. Go check out his videos on it. I'm loving the Superman version, how they're telling this here. Let me know down in the comments, how do you feel about the Absolute Superman, Absolute Batman? Which one is your favorite and why? And if you have made it with me this far, you might as well go ahead and give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and click the little bell notification so you don't miss out when I release and when Mantis releases and when we both release our videos together on everything we're doing in the comic book world as well as in the TV and movies, guys. And to keep this video as short as is humanly possible, that is going to wrap it for us on this episode of You, Me, and DC. Until next time, guys, I'll see you then.